Wernher von Braun, ingeniero alemán aeroespacial que diseñó el cohete atribuido de llevar al hombre a la Luna, y quien en su adolescencia perteneció a las SS nazis, contrató como vocera a la doctora Carol Rosin, unos 4 años antes de morir. Rosin nos cuenta una pequeñísima parte del secreto que se guardaba von Braun sobre el plan de la élite, de desplegar en el espacio bases armamentísticas con la excusa de una supuesta invasión extraterrestre.
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. The strategy that Wernher von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens, and all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine, that the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. Wernher von Braun never spoke to me about any of the details that he knew, or might have known, or thought about related to extraterrestrials, except that extraterrestrials were one day going to be identified as an enemy against whom we are going to have to build an enormous space-based weapon system. Even though he didn't give me the details, however, the look in his eyes made it clear to me that he knew that there was something going on that was a big secret that he could not divulge. When von Braun was dying in front of me the very first day that I met him, he had tubes draining out of his side. And he was tapping on the desk telling me, "You will come to Fairchild." I was a school teacher. "You will come to Fairchild and you will be responsible for keeping weapons out of space." And the way he said it with the intenseness in his eyes, and added that very first day, the first time I met him, that space-based weapons were a dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, untestable, unworkable idea. Wernher von Braun gave me the assignment of preventing the weaponization of outer space from happening. But what he said to me over and over again was that his real concern, his greatest concern, was about psychotronic weapons.
Did he discuss what those were?
No. He didn't discuss what they were, but he repeated over and over to me that this was the real concern. This is what we should really be concerned about. But he would add, the public, however, won't understand that yet. So let's just call for the ban on space-based weapons. That can be understood, it can be measured, it can be done. And once you have a ban on space-based weapons, you've put a lid on the arms race. People have become aware, they've become connected consciously, and they will begin to understand that there are alternatives. But his real concern, the biggest concern he had, was about the psychotronic weapons. Those are mind-controlled weapons, mind-controlled people or technology. Very dangerous weapons. What was most interesting to me was a repetitive sentence that he said to me over and over again during the approximately 4 years that I had the opportunity of working with him, and that was the strategy that was being used to educate the public and decision makers, and the scare tactics, the spin that was being put on a weapon system. And that was how we identify an enemy. I have concluded that it's based on a few people making a lot of money and gaining power. It's about ego. It's not about our essence and who we really are on the planet, and loving each other and being at peace and cooperating, using technologies to solve problems and heal people in the planet. It isn't about that. It's about a few people who really are playing an old, dangerous, costly game for their own pocketbooks and power struggle. That's all it is. And I believe that this entire space-based weapons game is initiated right here in the United States of America. When Wernher von Braun transmitted into my left ear this entire speech from the East Coast of Chicago, it became very obvious to me that we humans have absolutely no idea except what we're told by people who are making money on the next levels and phases of technological developments, that we are purchasing as consumers what is possible. We have barely touched the tip of the iceberg of what the mind is capable of creating. I think I was too naive to know at that time the seriousness of the nature of the spin that was being put on the system. And now the pieces are starting to fall into place. We're building a space-based weapon system based on a premise that is a lie. A spin.
You know, I've been doing this a long time, and I was traveling around America in the 1990s. I was talking to whistleblowers who were from the inside of the military industrial intelligence complex. And they were telling me that flying saucers were being flown by the American military. Because it's a simple thing. If you can keep from the public the cutting edge of technology that you have, then when you start flying what you really have around, people look and go, well, humans haven't got this, so it's an alien operation of some kind. And I remember back in the 1990s, the Canadian journalist Serge Monast, who died in 1996 of a heart attack when he had no history of heart problems. The day after he'd spent the night in jail as part of a constant attack and intimidation of him by the authorities, after he began to reveal something called Project Bluebeem. And this was a plan, he said, to create the illusion of a, quote, alien invasion that would, in one area, unite the world against a common enemy. Another aspect of possibility is that this alien invasion comes in as the savior of humanity after catastrophe unfolds. But the point is that the technology that he said would be used to scam this apparent alien invasion is very much with us now. And it was founded, he said, on holographic projections in the sky. And what Monas was talking about was, first of all, apparent ships in the sky, but also the projection of religious figures in the sky over areas of the world where that religious figure is most revered. So it would be Jesus in the Christian world, Mohammed in the Islamic world, and so on. And I remember, Gaz, back in the 1990s, when I was in America a lot of the time and researching this whole UFO alien subject, that there was complete dismissal from the authorities. You remember Roswell, it's a weather balloon, and oh no, there's no evidence, oh UFOs, oh yeah, just crazy conspiracy theorists, you know, UFO nuts. And yet, you've seen in recent years how subtly that has changed. Now the Pentagon are publishing reports from the experiences of like Navy pilots who are reporting seeing craft that, from their perspective anyway, couldn't possibly do what they are witnessing them doing, like moving at incredible speeds, like over America or coming out of the ocean off the west coast of America. I've heard that many times during the 1990s that people had seen that. And that they were changing direction at these fantastic speeds and then basically disappearing, which means leaving our reality that we can perceive called visible light. And so I look at this and I look at what Monas talked about. And I think we have to be very, very streetwise to the fact that the fake alien invasion, whatever gloss or spin they put on it for their own benefit, i.e. centralization of power, is very much a possibility. And I remember too, there was a guy called Wernher von Braun. He was a German. He was serving the Nazi party of Adolf Hitler. He was behind the V2 rockets that were fired on London. And then through something called Project Paperclip, he and a lot of other Nazi scientists, geneticists, mind control experts, including Joseph Mengele, the angel of death from the concentration camps, were spirited to America after the war to continue their work, only this time for the Americans. Although when you get to the level of what I call the global cult, country borders and country governments take on a very different perspective. It's actually one cult. And so Wernher von Braun was the major figure behind the Saturn V rockets that are said to have powered the moon landings. And he was reported by the lady herself, his longtime assistant, after he died, that Wernher von Braun had given her a list of things that were going to happen, and that all of them would be fake. And one of them in the list was there would be a fake alien invasion set up to manipulate the population into a mass response and behavior that would suit the ambitions and goals of the cult. So I'm looking at this more and more seriously now as we're seeing these reports, because it's a very strong possibility that they're going to play this. And Monash, as I recall, was talking about something like 2024 when this Project Bluebeem was planned to be played out.
Do you think with the timing of it, that it's a little bit about distraction as well, in the sense that you've got, obviously the Epstein client list was supposedly meant to be released, and then it's become apparent to anyone that didn't realize anyway that the Americans bombed Nord Stream. And so actually it's almost like, quick, there's some aliens, look over there.
Yeah, well, that you've always got to watch for that. You know, if you look at a magician, he doesn't want you looking at the hand that's doing the trick, he wants you looking at the other one. So they do this all the time. You know, it's like that infamous line from a Tony Blair aide on 9/11 that this is a good day to bury bad news. In other words, the 9/11 attacks are obviously completely dominating the news. So if there's something you want to slip out that you don't really want to be noticed and reported, then this is a good day to do it. And that's the cynicism that we're looking at. So yeah, I mean, always that's a possibility. But I do think that in the overall scheme of this manipulation of the alien invasion, that we do need to keep very aware that this has been long in the planning and could well be played.